Chicago is a city with towering skyscrapers and murky depths of criminal underworlds. Even now, in 2024, the grip of mafia families remains strong, reaching into every corner of the city. From the infamous Chicago outfit to lesser-known crews, these organizations rule with an iron fist. With ruthless power struggles like the beer wars and is an Italian-American mafia crime family that has been a formidable force in Chicago and the Midwest since its inception in the early 20th century. The organization was founded by Big Jim Colosimo, who centralized control and laid the foundation for what would become one of the most powerful criminal networks in American history. In the early 1900s, Colosimo established himself as a prominent figure in Chicago's criminal underworld, serving as a precinct captain and bagman, which afforded him significant influence and protection. However, his refusal to enter the lucrative bootlegging business, which was basically the production who emerged as the first mafia boss in Buffalo in the early 1900s. However, his reign was short-lived, and he was succeeded by Joseph DiCarlo in 1912. In 1921, Stefano Magaddino, an influential member of the Castellamarese clan, fled to Buffalo to avoid murder charges. Family's bootlegging operations. He was an original member of the boss of the Bonanno family. Magaddino's empire extended to Ontario, Canada, where he controlled various criminal activities. Magaddino's empire began to crumble in the late 1960s when authorities discovered large sums of cash hidden in his funeral home and his son's attic. This led to a power struggle within the family, and Magaddino died of natural causes in 1974. Joseph Todaro Sr. emerged as the new boss and maintained a relatively low profile. In the 1980s, Joseph Todaro Sr. and his son Joseph Todaro Jr. were identified as the leaders of the family, which consisted of around 45 members. They were involved in various criminal activities, including labor racket. In the late 1990s, Joseph Todaro Sr. reportedly retired, and his son Joseph Todaro Jr. took over as acting boss. However, Leonard Falzone, a powerful capo, was believed to be the front boss and ran the family's day-to-day operations. The family continued to be active in labor racketeering, illegal gambling, and drug trafficking. In the 2010s, Falzone died, and it was revealed that Joseph Todaro Jr. was the official boss. The Buffalo crime family has expanded their operations, with Joseph Todaro Sr. serving as a senior statesman. The family maintains its influence in Western New York crime family. The Bufalino crime family, also known as the Pittston crime family, has etched its name in northeastern Pennsylvania's criminal underworld. Operating primarily in the cities of Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and Pittston, this Italian-American mafia family has a history that dates back to the early 1900s. The Bufalino crime family's history begins with Tommaso Petto, who led the organization from 1900 until his death in 1905. Stefano Latorre took over, but stepped down shortly after, in 1908. It was then that Santo Volpe rose to power, leading the family until his retirement in 1933. In 1933, Giovanni John Ciandra became boss, and his natural death in 1949, contrary to murder rumors, paved the way for Rosario Alberto Russell Bufalino to take charge. Bufalino's era was marked by his alliance with the New York Genovese family and his imprisonment in the late 1970s on extortion charges. During Bufalino's incarceration, William Big Billy D'Elia served as acting boss, aided by several captains and soldiers. Bufalino was released in 1980 but found himself behind bars again in 1981 for conspiring to kill a witness. He was eventually released in 1989 and passed away in 1994. D'Elia then took over as boss, attempting to replenish the family's aging ranks. D'Elia's tenure was marked by his involvement in money laundering schemes and his association with the Philadelphia crime family. However, D'Elia's reign ended in 2006 with an indictment on money laundering charges. He pleaded guilty and testified against another mobster, revealing the inner workings of the criminal underworld. Former investigator James Canavy said, "I don't think there's a standalone family here anymore. Any remnants here would be aligned with the New York families." Zerilli crime family. Zerilli crime family, also known as the Detroit crime family or the Detroit Partnership, has a long and complex history dating back to the early 20th century, with roots in Detroit, Michigan, and reaching into Windsor, Ontario, Toledo, Ohio, and Las Vegas. The Detroit Partnership's history can be traced back to the early 1900s, with the emergence of Italian organized crime in the city. The first mafia boss in Detroit was Pietro Mirabile, who stepped down and later fled the city in 1914. This set off a series of gang wars, with Vito Adamo Giacomo taking over as boss until his murder in 1913. The leadership then passed through several hands, including Antonio Tony Gianola, Salvatore Sam Gianola, and Giovanni Gian Vitali, all of whom met violent ends. In 1921, Stefano Magaddino, an influential member of the Castellamarese clan, fled to Buffalo to avoid murder charges and quickly rose to become boss of the Buffalo crime family. He played a significant role in the Detroit underworld, forming close ties with the Detroit Mafia and becoming an original member of the Commission, the governing body of the American Mafia. The 1930s was a very important era for the Detroit Partnership, with the rise of Salvatore Singing Sam Catalanot, who united various mafia factions under the Pascuzzi Combine. However, Catalanot's death in 1930 sparked a power struggle known as the Crosstown Mafia War between the East Side and West Side mobs. This conflict ended with the assassination of Cesare Chester Lemaire in 1931, allowing the East Side gang to take control. William Black Bill Tocco, Joseph Zerilli, and their allies, including John Prizziola and Peter Licavoli, formed a ruling council to lead the Detroit Partnership. Tocco became the first official boss, but he stepped down in 1936 due to tax evasion charges, passing the mantle to his brother-in-law Joseph Zerilli. Tocco maintained a senior position within the family, even as he moved to Florida in semi-retirement. Zerilli's reign lasted until his death in 1977, when John Prizziola, a longtime Detroit Mafia leader and member of the ruling council, took over as boss. However, due to his advanced age, Prizziola named his nephew, Giacomo Jack Tocco, as acting boss. This marked the beginning of the Tocco-Zerilli regime, which still holds influence within the Detroit underworld today. The Detroit Partnership has faced various law enforcement operations and internal conflicts over the years, but it has maintained its stability. Jack Tocco's semi-retirement in 2014 paved the way for Jackie Giacalone to become the current boss and Joseph Mirabile as underboss. As of 2011, the Detroit Partnership is believed to have around 50 members, continuing its legacy as a top criminal organization in Michigan. Colombo crime family. The Colombo crime family, one of the 5 families of the American Mafia, has a long and complex history dating back to the early 20th century. This Italian-American Mafia family has been marked by internal conflicts and leadership changes, just like many others, and is currently considered the weakest of the 5 families. The Colombo crime family traces its origins to Joseph Profaci, who formed a bootlegging gang in 1928 and became a powerful mafia boss known as the Olive Oil and Tomato Paste King of America. Profaci's reign lasted until the late 1950s, when Caporegime Joe Gallo revolted, triggering the First Family War. This conflict ended in the early 1960s with Gallo's arrest and Profaci's death from cancer. Joseph Colombo took over as boss, but his leadership was short-lived. In 1971, he was paralyzed by an assassination attempt, sparking the Second Family War. Carmine Persico's faction ultimately prevailed, and Persico became the new boss. Persico's leadership was marked by imprisonment and the Third Family War in the 1990s. Acting boss Victor Orena attempted to seize power, but this conflict ended with Orena's imprisonment, leaving Persico as the winner. The family has faced various law enforcement operations and convictions over the years, further diminishing its influence. Currently, Little Robert Donofrio is the acting boss. If you found this interesting, click on one of the cards on your screen to watch more videos like this.